Hello friends, my name is Naughty Miss, and today we're going to be building the best Pride and Prejudice cast ever from the cast of the existing adaptation. So we're talking 1980, we're talking 1995 miniseries, and we're talking 2005 feature-length film.
And maybe also Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
You know,
We just want you to know that anything can happen here.
there are no rules. We literally just made this up, so
yeah, that's correct.
For every character, we're gonna pick our person that we would cast in that role, but also an understudy, like the second place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Do you think we're gonna agree a lot or disagree a lot?
I think we're gonna agree on most of them. Like the further from the heart of the story we are,
Yes.
the more we're gonna agree.
We're like fine. I honestly feel like I'm gonna have an answer and you're gonna argue me out of my answer.
I'm very convincing.
Not in a bad way. You're just gonna make a point and be like, yeah, that one. Yeah. Let's get rolling. We are starting.
Hi, I'm her best friend.
Oh! Roll the tape back. Would you like to introduce yourself?
That's it. I'm your best friend. That's all you need to know. Hi, my name's Nicole Sweeney. I want a lower third. Nicole Sweeney, best friend. We have both read this book so many times now. I have thought about this so much.
But also we've watched the adaptations a lot, but also we watched them all prior.
Just recently, just this weekend.
We've already done some of this because as we're
correct.
watching, it's like constant running commentary of in the book this and this, that, and truly coming from a place of love and
We've
deep.
thought about this too much.
Yes.
Actually.
Is what we're trying to say.
Yeah. So you can yell at us in the comments. Please do for that hashtag engagement.
But you have not thought about this more than I have. Starting with Mr. and Mrs. Gardner. I kind of put them together. Everybody else I broke apart, but I just put them on one line. Really, they're a package deal.
They're a package deal. I don't think any adaptation does them justice.
No.
Mrs. Gardner, I love her so much in the books.
Yes.
I also have an aunt who I feel is my own, Mrs. Gardner.
Yes.
So it's a personal affront to me that no adaptation has done justice to her in particular,
Yes.
to the significance that she plays in Lizzie's life. But I feel like I gotta go 1980. That's the only one that gets even close. 1980, and I think the understudy I would give to 2005. That's
I agree.
My casting.
I think in addition to not capturing sort of the essence of their relationship, they always age these characters up, and so it removes some of the closeness in age and the closeness of the relationship. The reason that Lizzie relies on her so much is because that's a closer. Almost a peer, even though they're family, than her mom or whatnot.
Mrs. Gardner should be closer to Charlotte's age than any other woman in the books. That's what they always have her being closer to Mrs. Bennett's age.
The tone of the advice that she gives Lizzie changes when it's coming from a much older woman than a younger woman that is listen. Literally, I can trust you not to just, ignore my advice because you want to. Don't do it. That interaction takes on such a different air when you represent her correctly. 1980 is the correct answer.
Yeah.
2005 with the understudy.
Yeah.
That's the first one for 1980. I'm actually going to keep track of this because 1980 is...
I feel like we're maybe setting the bar a little high for 1980. You might be hearing this and being wow, they stand 1980.
What a spicy take. Wait, hold on. Coming up on Colonel Fitzwilliam.
Ooh.
Who I will also give to 1980.
I will too. 1980. This time the understudy I'm going to give to 95.
95. 100%. Colonel Fitzwilliam is absolutely nothing in the 2005.
No.
He's there to deliver plot.
He's there to exposit.
Yes. and he has two things to do when he does those things.
He does his job.
Yeah.
But that is it.
And you're literally who is this man? And
who is this man and why is he gossiping with her in church?
Shh. I understand why Colonel Fitzwilliam is a character that you cut from adaptations for time.
Yeah.
But I like him included because it gives, it really shows that most of the men that Lizzie comes in contact with, propose to her.
Yeah, and are, smitten by her.
Yes, they're that's the one.
Yeah.
Every man that, is yeah, that's marriageable, material.
I mean, but he doesn't, they just have,
They just have good rapport.
But
he gives her the little, second sons can't marry.
No, but that's like, that Lizzie has this moment of like, oh, is that for me? I don't know. That, I don't take that as being anything.
I do take it as him being like, you're cool. But I can't do anything more. Even if it's friendly, though. The immediate, like, this is a cool girl.
Yeah,
like, we've got good conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
Just really hammers home. But Lizzie's...
She's a hottie.
She's a baddie.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's down bad.
Yeah. Everyone's down bad for Lizzie. They all wish that she had better connections.
And more money. Me too. Lady Catherine de Berg, 1980.
This is one of the early divergences because I gotta go 2005.
It's Judi Dench.
I gotta go Judi Dench, but 1980 is my understudy.
There's something about the portrayal in 1980 for me that is so Lady Catherine. The like chattiness of it, like the way that she's like, I don't know, a little younger, more robust in a way that I think captures something there. I will say 2005 is more stately, more grand. That is like a moneyed woman who is not used to hearing no.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the spicy thing and give it to 1980.
Yeah.
Well, 2005. Yeah.
3 for 3 on 1980.
Damn.
Okay, wait, we forgot to lay the other really important like ground rule on this is that this is like extracting these castings for a 10-hour.
Yes.
We're in charge of this incredibly
for sure.
faithful, but also every cute addition that we love from all three of them, which is basically every addition from all of them.
Correct. Every character moment.
They all come. Every cheesy ending.
Yeah. All of the double wedding.
My pearl. All of it.
It's in there.
It's all coming.
The hand flex. It's in there. Swimming in the lake.
It's coming. So, that's also like the
good context.
That's like important context to have.
This is the most faithful adaptation.
Yeah, but also and so like it's a little dicey too though in incorporating 2005 people too in that respect because we have less time with them.
Yes.
But I know in my heart that damn Judi Dench will do me proud.
I mean, yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm doing the spicy take because it's Judi Dench.
I love that for you.
Okay.
I love that for you.
Okay.
You go for it.
Mr. Collins.
2005. There's none that I'm like, that's a terrible Mr. Collins.
Yes.
All of these castings, they sort of work in tandem. So there is something about that man being so short and Keira Knightley being so tall.
Yes.
That does, and Matthew McFadden, like everybody in 2005 actually is exceptionally tall.
Yes. And then Mr. Collins like
so that is doing some of the work. There's specifically a little bow. There's a little I lose it every time.
I agree. I'm gonna give it 2005. It was interesting watching because we watched it in order, and 1980 I was like, that's a good Mr. Collins, and then 1995 I was like, that's a good Mr. Collins, and we got to 2005 I was like, that's a good So I gotta give it to 2005. I think also the styling helps a lot. There's something about like the hair and the everything that comes together, making like a very like mousy, awkward Mr. Collins that I really enjoy. I'll give the understudy to 1995.
Okay, you ready for my spicy take?
Yeah.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Matt Smith. That's my understudy. It was too good.
We just watched House of the Dragon, Matt Smith beat Daemon Targaryen, and we watched it after Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, and that is the prevailing Matt Smith in my brain.
Sure, that's fair.
So I love it for you. I'm going to stick to 1995.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. I don't need anybody to join me on this.
I am an island.
I know my own heart.
Mr. Wickham.
I gotta go 2005 on that one as well.
Yep.
His hotness is perhaps the most important.
Yes. Nothing about his character makes sense unless he's hot enough that you just ignore everything
that's
coming
the
out of his
whole
mouth.
thing.
Yeah.
Is that Lizzie is like, this man is so hot, he could not be a liar.
Yes.
He couldn't lie to me.
Yes.
Look how hot he is.
All of the appearance of goodness, if you read between the lines.
That is what she's saying. Yeah. She's literally just like, he's so hot he couldn't lie.
All of the Mr. Wickhams are comparatively hot to their like Bingleys and Darcys.
That's true.
But 2005 is the only one that I look at personally and I'm like, oh,
I get it.
That man could lie to me and I might believe it. Performance-wise, my understudy is going to be 1995 because there's something very like the way that he presents and like sort of the charm and all of that and the manners or whatnot, I think are actually closer to Mr. Wickham. The thing about, you know what? I'm going to split this. I'm going to give it to 1995. I just remembered why this was probably backwards for me when we talked about it originally. It's because I see 2005 Mr. Wickham and he gives fuckboy energy. Yeah. Like almost immediately, like red flags about this man in a way that 2005 he leads a little more with like the charm and like the manners that I'm like, okay, this man, okay, he's a liar in a smooth way. The other 2005 is hot, but that's a man that's gonna fuck you over. Okay. You know?
I get it. I disagree. I disagree.
1995, 2005.
Yeah, those are the two.
Caroline Bingley.
2005. It's the only Caroline who I believe is the sister of her respective Bingley.
Okay, so here's what I was gonna say is that I like the interpretation of the 1995 Caroline Bingley more than the 2005. There's something more like acutely mean girl about 2005. Yeah. Where I think 1995 is more like snotty mean girl or like haughty mean girl. Yeah. But the thing is that 2005 is 100% my Mr. Bingley, and that feels like a package deal. You know what I mean? Like in the same way that you're like 2005 is both of them. Yeah. I feel like 2005 has to be both of them for me. But my 1995 is both of my understudies. Okay. You know?
Yeah, I feel that. I would say 95 is both of my understudies as well. The 2005 Bingley, I love him. Yes. I love him.
My puppy is named Charles Bingley after the 2005 Mr. Bingley.
I love 2005 Bingley probably more than any Darcy.
Oh, wow.
I love him.
Wow.
He's a little puppy dog.
So good. And we get such good invented moments from him. Like we actually get to see the proposal.
We actually get to see him propose to Jane and the rehearsal. Him and Darcy rehearsing for him to... We're going to walk in.
He's going to ask me to sit down.
It's so wholesome.
It's so good.
I love him.
Me too.
Precious. The force of my love for 2005 Bingley is so strong that it like he's pulling things into his orbit.
Yes, you know? Yes, that's true. Like I love 2005 Bingley. That is true. But it's not such a big gap because they also have the other sister in 95.
That's true.
That gives them like important context to me. There's especially like a byplay between Caroline and her sister that I think is really important in terms of like ganging up on Lizzie. Yeah. That I miss a lot from 2005. But I mean 2005 Supremacy. Those are also really two hot people that you see them like rolling in and you're like, yeah. Like I understand why they literally disruptive everybody's life in this town.
Yes, I'll stop what they were doing. Because a couple really hot rich people walked in
and they're like, okay. And he's got 5,000 a year.
I do also really enjoy the 95 Bingley as well. Like I enjoy that, but like
puppy.
My puppy.
Bingley.
My sweet ginger puppy.
I love that they are also gingers. I don't know why. That feels so right to me, but Ginger Bingleys is canon. Yeah. Georgiana Darcy, 1995 for me. Yeah. 2005 again has like no context for her, so she gets to like not be Georgiana Darcy. Like she's not shy and like withdrawn or whatnot. I would actually even give the understudy to 1980.
Same. 2005, the context has just shifted so much that is like a materially different character than it is in the book. It's a fine character like in the context of 2005, but she doesn't fit in our 10-hour miniseries. Is the problem. So yeah. I do love her adorable little like glance in the eyes. Yes. Hilarious. Super
like,
cute.
Looking at him like, well, get on with it.
I want a sister.
Good.
Precious. But yes, 95, understudy 1980.
Charlotte Lucas.
1980.
1980! I thought you weren't going to do it. I was ready to be like, here's a spicy
take.
1980.
1980
all the way.
Yeah, 1980 all the way. Charlotte Lucas is a lesbian. Charlotte, again... I've had a lot of time to think about this. Charlotte Lucas is either a lesbian or maybe she's ace, but really she's a lesbian. She's not romantic like Lizzie because that's not going to work out for her. The situation is what it is. Okay, she just needs a comfortable home. Okay. They got further away from my vision for Charlotte Lucas as we went.
Yeah.
So the other thing too about 1980 is that I think 1980 is also the one that gives their friendship the most like real estate. She is as observant as Lizzie believes that she is.
Yes.
Like Lizzie sees herself as being this incredibly like shrewd, good judge of character, and Charlotte is quieter and actually observant. Charlotte is the first person to clock that Mr. Darcy has a thing for her.
She's the first one to say like, if Jane likes Bingley, she needs to like show a little more emotion here. Yes. Which ultimately, I mean, according to Darcy's reasoning, is kind of part of the reason that he was like, I can justify this.
Yes.
Jane is not in this.
For precisely the reason that Charlotte says. And Charlotte and Mrs. Gardner point out things to Lizzie that Lizzie gets wrong.
Yes.
Before she sort of catches up. But Charlotte most especially. And 1980 Charlotte is the one who I feel like most captures that. Yes. And most captures the indifference that she feels towards Mr. Collins.
Yes, so both 1995 and 2005 have moments where it feels like they like get married and there's like some like
falling in love,
feelings or like respect for Mr. Collins, which absolutely not. That is no. Watching 1980 Charlotte like polishing the legs, like 1995 has actually the exchange in that moment that I love, where Charlotte says like, I encourage him to walk almost every day. And Lizzie's like, does he need to? And she's like, no, but... And then 2005 has, I'm 27 years old, Lizzie.
Iconic. But this one's 1980 all the way with 95 as the understudy.
Amen to that. Mr. Bennett.
Okay, I have complicated feelings about Mr. Bennett. Because these are three really different Mr. Bennetts. Yeah. 1980 is as big of a dick as I, in my heart of hearts, believe that Mr. Bennett is. Yes. 1995 feels like what Jane Austen thought she was writing. Yes. I think Jane Austen disagrees with me about what a dick Mr. Bennett is also the thing.
Which we see in Mary. Lydia.
Lydia. And 2005, I have a soft spot for just the overall portrayal of their marriage, which is different than what is in the books. Yes. 2005 softens their marriage and softens him tremendously. Like that man is a good dad. Yes. Actually.
Very affectionate.
He's very affectionate. And even his letting Lydia go feels more like it's from a place of weariness than ambivalence, which it was in the books and is in 1980 and 2005, or in 95 rather. So it's like complicated for me in my heart of hearts.
Like your heart is saying...
I love 2005. Okay. Like I love them. I love those parents. But if we're gonna give it the full 10-hour treatment, I think I want to go full asshole. I think I want 1980.
Wow.
I want to go all in. Wow. If we're doing 10 hours, I want to show the people. I want to show the people that this man failed. This man failed as a father. I'm going 1980 and 95 can be his understudy.
I'm going 95. I think that the reason that I don't want to go full asshole, even though I also agree that like Mr. Bennett has so much to answer for.
He has things to answer for. And in our 10-hour version, we're going to include every fucking one of those things.
But the thing about like the 1995 middle version of this man though is that I also really love his, even though he has like a lot to answer for, his relationship with Lizzie is like super important. Yeah. And showing like that byplay and the softness he has for her, I think it's also really important. And I think 1995 gets the closest to that balance.
To that dynamic.
Or to that dynamic without like fully softening him and then like fully going dick like in 1980. But I will give 1980 my understudy. Okay, so that brings us to Mrs. Bennett.
I gotta go 2005. I think I had originally thought that this was going to be sort of another package deal one for me, but I don't actually think that that's true. 2005, Mrs. Bennett is committing to her emotions in a way that the other ones I think don't. The other ones feel like they're being sort of like willfully extra in this way that like if you think of Mrs. Bennett as like trying to convince anybody of like the disastrousness, like her first mark is always herself.
Yes.
Like well and truly, and I feel like the 2005 version captures that.
I agree. I think that like in the other versions, there's something that comes across like almost like a caricature of this character that is very like, you know, the squealing and all of that, where there's an earnestness to the emotions in the 2005. Like you actually believe. Like, you know, she's crying, she's having big feelings, and all of that.
She's on a roller coaster with that Lydia news.
True tears versus, like, I don't know, I look at the other ones, I'm like, you're faking it, in a way that I just don't enjoy as much.
Yeah.
But also, this is, like, the hottest Mrs. Bennett. This is the version of Mrs. Bennett that you look at her and you're like, oh, okay. Like, you were a baddie when you were young. Mm-hmm. Like, I see how you hooked Mr. Bennett.
She managed to bag a gentleman who was also way smarter than her. Managed to dupe this man.
Bamboozled.
He absolutely bamboozled
she
him.
was stupid.
No. Bamboozled him with her hotness.
Until they were married and he was like, oh, no. Understudy for Mrs. Bennett?
I feel like I don't care. I think I'm gonna go with a spicy take. Zombies.
Oh.
Zombies. Yeah, zombies.
Okay, wait. I really like that actress. wait.
Mrs. Bennett's whole thing is, like, she's concerned for her daughters because the second that Mr. Bennett kicks it, like, they're all fucked, right? You add a
zombie apocalypse
to the mix here.
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett's whole thing transforms.
Yes.
Wildly, and
like literally your dad could die at any moment.
Like his death is waiting around every corner. Okay? You need protection, and more specifically, I need to protect the home that we are literally all living in.
Yes.
So yes, suck it up, Lizzie. Take one for the fucking team and marry Mr. Collins.
Where are you going to live?
Where are you gonna live?
Riddle me this. To be clear, like in the original, like Mrs. Bennett has a point.
Yes,
like,
Mrs. Bennett. Yes,
she's going about it in like a very vapid and like whatever way, but she has an absolute point. And no version of Mrs. Bennett makes that clearer than Zombies.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, 2005 is my main casting, but my understudy is Zombies.
I'm with you. Kitty Bennett.
All of the Bennett sisters, are pretty heavily 2005 stacked for me.
Yeah.
Just because that, like, the cast, they're fucking all Academy Award nominated. Like it's incredible. So I gotta go Carrie Mulligan. Gotta go 2005. And with considerably less conviction than Mrs. Bennett, I think I'm gonna go Zombies understudy.
I like that we're just putting zombies in places where we're like, we don't care. Because I also don't care about the other two Kitty Bennetts. 2005, I actually really like her energy.
Yes.
There's something like very bouncy. Like I'm thinking of the scene where they're watching the soldiers like violin and she's just like bouncing around. Like, something very youthful.
And her meltdown when Lydia gets to go.
Yes.
Her like absolute despair that she doesn't get to go.
There are some other Kitty moments that now that I think of it that I like from the other adaptations. Like there's one, I can't even remember if it's 95. I think it's 1980 actually, where she's like, I won't eat because, you know,
yeah.
And then like 5 seconds later she's like, Lord, I'm so hungry.
Which is going to be included. That will come into our 10-hour version.
Yes, but you know, 2005 Zombies feels right. Mary Bennett.
2005 again. So my whole thing with Charlotte is like, do I believe that this actress would get on board with my unofficial but still totally canon interpretation? And I feel this way about Mary Bennett as well, specifically with the fact that Mary Bennett and Mr. Collins are the actual OTP. And the worst thing that Mrs. Bennett does is not her overindulgence of Lydia. It is her failure to steer Mr. Collins to his actual soulmate, Mary Bennett.
The only child that it makes sense to like marry off to Mr. Collins is Mary Bennett.
There are all these little moments of her like being sort of wistful towards Mr. Collins that convince me that like multiple people in that production agree with us on this pairing.
And the thing is that like it's not even just like, okay, he's a clergy and she's bookish. Like there are so many ways that I feel like they could have been happy.
Yes.
And improved each other.
Yes.
Honestly. OTP and
he would have given her the attention that she, like, so desperately craved.
That situation for her would have given her the importance that she, like, could have had apart from her, like, much hotter sisters, like, you know, the clergyman's wife in this, like, neighborhood. Like, all of that situation, it would have been perfect for her.
Yeah.
And we've talked about some of these, like, couples as, like, package deals.
Yes.
And so because Mr. Collins 2005 is Mr. Collins for me,
there's
a way that, like, Mary Bennett 2005 is, like, also my Mary Bennett. Like, they go together for me.
2005, in spite of being so much shorter and, like, generally having less time, you still get all of these moments of her kind of, like, trailing after her sisters, and you can see the ways in which, like,
yes,
the ways in which her sisters also sort of, like, neglected her into her being what she is.
Yes.
Not that I think that, like, it was their responsibility to raise her. However, if her sisters had paid her more attention and, like, been a little bit more sisterly to her, there's a version of Mary where she's less Mary.
A little less Mary. The 2005, like, the writing in the portrayal is also, like, it does better by Mary. It makes it a little more earnest, whereas, like, some of the other versions, like, the joke is on Mary.
Yes.
In a way.
95 is laughing at Mary in a way that is, I don't love.
There is a moment, though, that I would like to bring over. And it's a conversation, I think, in 1980, where Mr. Bennett asks Mary what she thinks about coughing. And she goes, "One coughs when one must, does not one?"
Mary wished to say something sensible.
And she knew not how.
Understudy 1980.
Yes, yeah. For the very reason that you said that, like, 1995 is, like, laughing at her in a way. And there's some ways that they, like, adapt her that feels, like, not Mary to me.
Yeah.
1980 gets it a little closer.
Yes, yeah.
Done dirty by everyone and their literal mom, Lydia Bennett.
Lydia Bennett. This is maybe the one place where I'm like, reluctant to give it to 2005. I love Jenna Malone.
Yes.
My read on Lydia is that she is thoughtless. And I think that 95 captures that the closest. I have so many feelings about Lydia Bennett and the way in which I think that even the book is unfair to her. Like, cultural context of the time that people are talking about people's dispositions.
Yes.
And there is, like, no real regard for the role of parenting in, like, the creation of a person. And so, like, when we say done dirty by everyone, like, I mean including Jane Austen. Like, I think including Jane Austen does not do justice to the way in which Lydia's parents failed her.
Their neglectful parenting worked on Jane and Lizzie.
Yes.
And they're just like, we'll keep doing this.
We'll keep going.
And then,
yes,
and the fault that it didn't work on the other kids is put on the kids themselves versus, like...
Yes, this actually kind of goes back to part of why 2005 is my Wickham, and I think I'm going to give the understudy to 2005. 2005 is also the only one that I think acknowledges my other sacred truth, which is that Wickham is totally an abusive husband.
Yeah.
Like, Wickham is... This is, like...
Yeah. This is a terrible situation for Lydia Bennett.
It's a truly terrible.
I'm going to give it to 1995. I think it's close for me between 1980 and 1995, but there are actually, like, a lot of moments in 1995 that show, like, Lydia's sort of, like, thoughtlessness. And, like, even in the book, we're told, like, Lydia thinks that she's going to get married, and then she's just kind of going along for the adventure, sort of, in a way that is shown to us in 1995, right? Yeah. And I appreciate that. It's almost kind of stupid not to give the understudy to Jenna Malone. The 2005 cast, super stacked. Like, I get that this is stupid to give it to this community theater actress in 1980. But I think that version also captures, like, Lydia's thoughtlessness well.
That's fair.
That's fair. Whatever. Your favorite. Jane Bennett.
Roslyn Pike. Before we started recording, I was like, I'm gonna throw a curveball here, and I'm gonna cast Roslyn Pike as everyone. The actual, like, top tier Pride and Prejudice is the audiobook read by Roslyn Pike.
Yes.
That's, like, my number one way to consume Pride and Prejudice. Roslyn Pike as Lizzie. Rosamund Pike as Jane. Rosamund Pike for sure as every Bennett sister. Rosamund Pike with a lisp as Mariah Lucas. Rosamund Pike all the way down. Okay.
Rosamund Pike as Mr. Wickham with a goatee.
Yeah, love that.
as odious Miss King with
little freckles. Little freckles. Beautiful.
I actually told her she couldn't do this.
Yeah. I was limited to one placement of Roslyn Pike, that I could only pick her once. So I have to give her the 2005 Jane Bennett.
Yes.
Truly perfect by volume of the story. 2005 gives Jane and Bingley's story more like relative space, and it's just so good. Like it's the perfect Mr. Bingley, it's the perfect Jane. I just love everything about that portrayal. The moment, the bedroom moment when they're
under the covers and they're kicking their little feet.
Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do too. I think that there are a lot of good sister moments between Jane and Lizzie in 2005. I love Roslyn Pike. Period. Like that was always going to be my choice. But just like from an adaptation point of view and like what we got to see of Jane, I think 2005 does her a lot of justice.
Yes.
I will give the understudy to 1980.
Same.
Poor 1995.
1995 is not an option. We were going to fight if you went 95. The comparative hotness, you've really failed there. That might just be a poor styling thing. I don't know. The actress often reads as sweet because she is not smart enough to know better. Like the portrayal of Jane and the thing about Jane's sweetness is that she is actually like very smart and she's
just that good.
She's just that good-hearted.
Yes.
That she is like constantly like seeing the best in people, and Rosamund Pike captures that so beautifully.
Both sides of her being like steady and smart, but also sweet and good. Like the full picture.
The full picture. And I think 1980
does as well.
Gets
1980
close.
Gets very close, and the comparative hotness is there as well.
Yes.
There's like a sweetness to that portrayal in particular that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, Rosamund Pike is off the charts because of she's Rosamund Pike, but I don't hate that Jane, the 1995 one, as much. But there is like a breathiness to her delivery and like a nasal quality that makes all of the lines that she says, they're Jane lines. They're not anything that's like adjusted to make them more stupid. It's just the delivery that I don't think is quite there. So.
Yeah.
All right, coming into the top 2. I'm gonna go first. Mr. Darcy is 1995, Colin Firth.
I'm going to agree.
I
guess the other additional context that we maybe should have said going into this is that she's a 95 girly.
Yeah.
I'm a 2005. So I think that my agreeing with you is maybe a little bit of a surprise, a plot twist. Only because like I love 2005 through and through. My attachment to that movie is deep. It is a slightly different portrayal of Mr. Darcy.
Yes.
I love that portrayal, but it is a little bit different. And if we're talking about like adapting to our sort of 10-hour miniseries, I think that like the 95 one is truer to the book. The thing about the 2005 portrayal is that it is quite literally condensed to fit a 2-hour movie. So, for example, like in the proposal, like canonically, he is being an asshole.
Yes.
2005 softens that a little bit to have it feel more like his words are just sort of coming out wrong. Mm-hmm. Like when Lizzie first starts coming at him, he has this reaction where he's like, "Oh wait, no, I didn't mean it like that." Yes. But then she sort of keeps coming, and so then he's like, "Okay," and then it sort of escalates in that way because in like the time of that movie. I think that if you have him being as nasty to her as he canonically is in the couple scenes that we get, it like would not work.
You don't have room.
You don't have room to like,
recover.
To actually recover and like bring them back around.
Yes.
And so like their way of dealing with that is to make him he's just broodier is his thing. Go back to the thing about Jane getting more space. I feel like 2005 feels like a Bennett sisters movie.
Yes.
More like where they're like, okay, we have 2 hours. Like that this is sort of where we're focusing our energy. This is the other reason why like the sisters, why like 2005 is so stacked on my casting for the sisters is that too. But a result of that is that I think we wind up with a very different Mr. Darcy. And so for our 10-hour miniseries, I gotta go Colin Firth. I am gonna have to give 2005 the understudy.
Yes. I am the same with 2005, the understudy. I definitely agree about this just being a different Darcy because you condense. And if it is a Bennett sisters like sort of focus, Lizzie is really the only one who's getting a character arc.
Yes.
She's the only one who's really going through any change. And that is true even, I think, of Mr. Darcy. We see him, like, adjust a little, but, like, a true arc, it just, again, doesn't, you don't have room for 2 arcs here.
No.
So it is a different version of this character. But even just beyond that, just, like, the difference in, like, the portrayals, I think Colin Firth does a better job, like, acting Mr. Darcy. There are so many ways that he captures, like, all of these little expressions of, like, a ghost of a smile as he's, like, teasing Lizzie, and, like, he's watching her and you're starting to see, like, the hard eyes as he's watching her across the room. Like, he does a lot of those, like, focused in expressions really well, in a way that I think that Matthew Macfadyen is just a little more one note in terms of, like, his broodiness. So yes, the 1995 version is more Mr. Darcy, but also I think Colin Firth just does a better job.
95 is our casting and 2005 is our understudy. We agree.
Yes, leaving us with Elizabeth Bennet.
I gotta go 2005. I know I threw that little curveball in there. I gave you 95, Mr. Darcy. I will not. I gotta go Keira Knightley through and through. She's I cannot overstate how important this movie was to me, as how formative this movie was for me as a teenager. Keira Knightley is my Lizzie. Like, she is like what I am picturing when I read the book. So
mine is 1995. I gotta give it to her. I think also, part of it is like just, I love both of these versions. They do 2 completely different things to me, and I like turn to them for different reasons. Yeah. But the 1995 miniseries was like my first Lizzie.
Yes.
So very similarly, like when I think of Lizzie, it is the 1995 version. But I also, again, just think she does a really good job capturing like all of the different elements of Lizzie, like her snark and her manners, and she, like, the funny side of her, the like physicality of her, like running and like all of that. And a lot of that goes into the way that it was written for her anyways. Yeah. She gets a lot of room to do those things, but I think that she does them well. I'm going to play it straight with you right now. We did a take of this, and we had to like re-record this last little bit. And I said my understudy was 1980, and I feel like I've been shamed out of that opinion. I don't want to have this conversation again. I don't want to do it. I'm done. There is no understudy for Elizabeth in my book.
In your book, it's 95 or bust.
Yeah, if something happens to her, this movie will not go on.
I'm going zombies.
I'll go zombies.
I'm going zombies. For my understudy, I think Lily James is fantastic in that movie. I think that is like a materially different take on Lizzie.
Yes.
But I don't care because I just love Lily James.
It's just too different a Lizzie for me to like, but also Lily James. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That,
Justice for Elizabeth Garvey.
Listen, you can do whatever you want.
No, it's fine. I'm tired.
Well, thanks for joining us on your channel.
That's it for us today. If you have any thoughts and opinions, I have a feeling there are going to be many.
Yeah.
There's going to be one where there are many thoughts and opinions.
Yeah.
You can be
We gave our opinions very decidedly.
For one so young. I'm just a baby. So you can be our tiebreakers. You can tell us that we're right, we're wrong.
Where we didn't have any disagreement, you can keep it though. We invite you to come be our tiebreakers.
Obviously there's consensus.
But when there's consensus,
we're right.
Sorry.
No, for real, but you can comment.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys soon.